Welcome to frog dissection. I'm going to walk you through the steps of your dissection lab so that when you get to the lab, you will be very familiar with the tools you're going to be using, with the packet, and how to approach this, where to look for different features, and how to do that. So the first thing you will notice are the materials we're using. We've got a dissection pan. We've got a probe that you will use quite a bit, our preserved frog, scissors, forceps, tweezers, scalpel. You rarely will need to use that. Medicine dropper, we'll use that when we examine the respiratory system, and dissecting pins. You'll start off noticing that frogs are classified as amphibians, or animals that lead a double life. And the reason is because amphibians spend their immature lives in water and their adult lives on land. So you're going to see in the design how God has designed him to be able to do both. All right, the external features. Again, I am not going to read every part of every number. It's going to be really important that you do, however, because as you'll notice in each one of these, there's a lot of information given. It will ask you to identify something or locate something, but then it's going to tell you about that feature, about the function, and why it is designed the way it is, which is a theme of our year. So that information will be asked on homework, but it will also be asked on your study guide and your test. So make sure that you're reading all of the information on this. So the first thing it's asking is to place the frog on its belly, which is the ventral side. This is the ventral side. Number 2, you're examining the hind legs. You're examining the front legs, also known as the forelegs. You're going to notice the front toes, the number, and the design, and the back toes, the number of them, and again, the design. It will tell you the function and the reason that they are designed as they are. Number 3, the eyes. There are outer eyelids, the color of the frog. Then there is a transparent third eyelid that the way you can locate it is to take your probe, and from the top of the eye, you're just going to stick your probe in under that tissue a little bit and then pull it down, and you'll see the eye clearly then. The information given will tell you what that third eyelid does. Number 4, behind each eye, you will find a circular eardrum. This is known as the tympanum. Then locate the 2 openings into the nasal cavity. These are located toward the tip of the snout. These are called external, which is outside, nares, or nostrils. Number 5, you're going to notice that the frog's skin is a different color and even feels a bit different on the top and the bottom. And you'll notice that there's a difference in coloring and texture, and there's a reason for that as well. All right, the mouth. We're now going to move into examining some internal structures. You're going to now place the frog on its back, or the dorsal side. So you have the ventral side and the dorsal side. Then you're asked to pry open the mouth. Now, this jaw is really stiff. So what you're going to want to do to be able to open it as wide as you need to is take your scissors, insert it into the side of the mouth, and notice how far back I'm going. I'm going pretty far back, and then you're going to snip. You'll do that to both sides, and then you're going to need to really pry to get your thumbs in there. Stick your thumbs way in there and then pull open. You may hear some tearing, and that's okay. That's what you want, because you want it open this wide to be able to see all of the features you're going to be asked to see. Notice the tongue here. The tongue is attached actually in the front, as opposed to our tongue, which is attached in the back. Now this is dead tissue, so normally this would be able to flip out and be moving, like our tongues do. Next, number 3, if you run your fingers along the upper, so this is the top, the upper jaw, if you run your fingers along that edge, or even take your probe and run it along the edge, you'll feel these tiny ridges, and those are a set of teeth known as the maxillary teeth. If you look at the top of the jaw, oops, right over here, there we go. Right in the center are 2 teeth called the vomerine teeth, and you can see they stick out a bit, and you can feel those with your probe. Next, you're being asked, number 4, to find the gullet. That's just the throat right here. This wide opening winds up leading to the esophagus, which you know is that tube that winds up taking food to the stomach. On both sides of the gullet, near the jaw here, you are going to see 2 openings right here, and then on the other side, right there. If you take your probe and stick it through, you will notice that it comes out that external eardrum called the tympanum. Dissecting the frog. All right, now we're ready to dissect and open the abdominal cavity. We may get to this the first day, we may not. You're going to place your frog on its back, and then you're going to secure it with the pins. Now, in order for you to have this really secure, you're going to want to take the pins and put them in at an angle and really stretch those out. It'll give you better access. So I'm putting it at an angle. These hind legs, I'm going to stretch those out, and again, I'm going to angle my pins. Voila. All right. Now you're ready to open it. So we are going to, number 7, make the first incision, which is going to be along the midline of the belly. So that's right along here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take those forceps and your scissors, and you're going to lift a little on this loose skin and make a snip. What that's going to allow you to do is to get your scissors underneath the skin there. You're going to carefully, keeping your scissors up next to the skin, and you're going to go as far as you can. You can turn sideways a little bit to go a little farther up, all the way up, so that we've got an incision that runs all the way down toward the throat, only going through the skin. At the top and bottom of this, by the legs, you're going to make an incision, almost like a book. Now, what I want you to notice is that as I'm cutting, it's sticking to the muscle here. So I'm going to take my scissors and gently, very closely to the skin, cut a bit so that it loosens and comes away from the muscle. So I can make my incision all the way down, almost to the dissecting tray. I'm going to do that again here, right by that forearm, right underneath it. And again, you want that to be almost down to the tray. So you see how far I got that? So you can see the side of that abdominal cavity as well as the top. I'm going to do that to the other side as well. And again, it's stuck a bit to the muscle, so I'm just going to very gently with small snips next to the skin, cut that away from the muscle so that I can get a better incision all the way down. And then I'm going to do that again next to that other foreleg. Again, I have to separate from the muscle a bit, and it's okay if you rip through the skin. That's not going to hurt anything. You will notice as you look at the underside of the skin, you're going to see some capillaries there. I wonder what those are for. Okay. Next, that is the skin incision. So if we might not, this might be where we end at the first day. But if you are ready to cut through the muscle, which is at number 9, you're going to approach it the same way. You're going to lift with the forceps, make a little snip, just a little one, just enough so you can get your scissors under there. And you want to really keep that scissors up close to the muscle so that you don't cut any of those organs that are right below that surface, that muscle. And I'm going to go all the way and follow that same incision line that I did with the skin. Then I'm going to make those incisions on the side. On both sides. Again, I want to be real careful not to cut any of the organs below. But again, you want to cut this so that it's almost down to the bottom of your tray. You can, if you want, you don't necessarily need to, but you can go ahead and pin those if you like. All right, so that gives us a look into that abdominal cavity. Now, you're going to want to cut at the top here. You're going to see there's this rougher sternum right above here. And you're going to want to cut through that. It's a little bit harder to cut through there because you're going to want to get to the place where you can take these triangular flaps you're left with and really open those up. Cut a little bit of this tissue. And if I had 2 more pins, I would probably pin that open as well. Now you're going to be able to see everything.